Okay, welcome back to another episode of 3rd and 23. I'm your host Alex, here to talk college football, and now we're talking week 10. You guys know it's Friday, so you know what it is. It's pick day, get money day. Let's see if we can keep this hot streak going. Uh, if you guys new to the channel, last Saturday I went 5-0 against the spread. The past 3 Saturdays combined, now I'm 12-3 against the spread. Overall, didn't track that for you guys, but you guys can look here at the top right corner, and you can see my overall record. That's just straight up picks for the season. 56-28. Am I against the spread with that little 12-3, streak I'm on? It's put me at 24-18-1 for the season. ATS. So let's see, we're hot right now. Let's see if we can keep it going. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, there were some tough games this week. As you can see here, we got some tough games to pick. Some more than others though, right? So if you're new to the channel, if you see the spreads in the middle of your you see the spreads on the screen. That's what the spread was at the beginning of the week. I always check what the spreads are on Monday, and then I'll update it real time as I do these videos on Friday. So, starting out, we're going to get into Kansas State. I know I got a lot of games here, 12 games, so I'm going to try not to make the video so long, but, I try to give you guys as much content as I can. Kansas State, Texas, this opened at 5.5. This actually has moved quite a bit. Texas is now down to a 4-point favorite. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big move. I guess, it kind of makes sense. With no Quinn Ears, you're going to get Malik Murphy's second start, right? So Malik Murphy, if you guys aren't aware, he was a big-time recruit, very highly thought of. In fact, people have thought that he's somebody that, if he enters the transfer portal, he's going to be somebody that is highly sought after. Last week he started a game against BYU, and to be honest, man, he didn't look that great. 16 for 25, 170, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. His pick almost went for a pick 6, and it was a really, really awful decision to throw that pass. Really terrible decision. Now you could say, well, he's his first start, can't judge him, and I'm with you. This is his first start, you can't judge him. He's supposed to have a whole heaps of talent. They cruised to the win against BYU because their defense continues to dominate this year. But I'm just pointing out that he didn't play great in that first game. There's a clear drop off from Quinn Ears. Back in the spring, they talked about, well, maybe Malik Murphy, he looked better than Quinn Ears in the spring. I mean, I think we could put that to bed, right? Kansas State's coming in this game on fire right now, particularly defensively. Kansas State, last game, they beat Houston 41-0. You could say, man, that's Houston. But I'm going to tell you right now, Houston's passing game, they run an air raid attack with Donovan Smith. They've been lighting up everybody. And Kansas State completely wiped it out. The week before, Kansas State beat TCU 41-3. So the defense has been cooking the last 2 weeks, right? They've also offensively, they found this little combination quarterback in there doing, I guess you could say, with Will Howard and Avery Johnson. Will Howard, is been around a while, good college quarterback, good mobility, not the greatest thrower of the football, but certainly good enough to win games with. This Kansas State defense, as I said, has been cooking along. Running game for Kansas is pretty solid. What you're going to look at in the matchup in this game is going to be Kansas State's running game against Texas's run defense. Texas is one of the best run defenses in the conference, right? So that's going to be the big matchup. That's what Kansas State's going to need to be able to move the ball to be able to have success in this game. Texas, on the other hand, they just need Malik Murphy to play better. If Malik Murphy plays better, these guys can win. But if Malik Murphy play better, that's like an enigma. We don't know because we haven't seen it yet. We've only seen the game against BYU, and he didn't play well. So for that reason, I know the money's pouring in on Kansas State. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to do this game against the spread because I got to see more from Malik Murphy. Texas is better than Kansas State, and they're at home. But I'm just not gonna go with. I'm just not gonna do. I'm not gonna lay the points. I know it's only 4, but I'm not gonna lay the points because there's some real danger of Texas losing this game, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Longhorns straight up. We're not doing this against the spread. Moving on. Ohio State at Rutgers. Ohio State opened at 18.5-point favorite, and I believe this stayed at 18.5 points. Now, you guys know how I am about laying big points, right? First off, I mean, it goes without saying I'm going to take Ohio State to win this game. So it's all about, will Ohio State beat Rutgers by 18.5 or more, right? So 19 or more. If you've seen Rutgers play this year, this is Rutgers in a nutshell. Good running game. Play hard on run defense, but you can run the ball on them. Pass secondary, you can air it out on them. And their passing game is not of a Power 5 level. I've said it when I had Rutgers on this channel weeks ago. Gavin Wimsatt is not a Power 5 starting quarterback. He's got legs, he can move around, but he can't throw the ball. I would be shocked. I'll be shocked if Rutgers hits 100 yards passing in this game. Okay? So this is going to be an entirely one-dimensional offense for Rutgers. So now it becomes, are they going to be able to score enough points where Ohio State can't cover that 18.5? I don't think so. I mean, if you're completely one-dimensional and then you're one-dimensional the running game, it's good, not great. Okay, Rutgers isn't about to run for 275 in this game against an Ohio State front seven that's got at least 5 NFL guys on it, right? They're not going to be able to throw the ball. The biggest mismatch you're going to see this weekend is Rutgers receivers against the Ohio State DBs. So Rutgers is not going to score a lot of points in this game. I'm thinking they'll maybe a touchdown, maybe 2 field goals. This feels like a game where, and on Ohio State's side, I don't think Ohio State's going to jump out all over Rutgers and to a 28-0 first quarter lead because Kyle McCord isn't really the quarterback yet that can get to that point. But these guys can definitely grind out and cruise to an easy win. This game to me feels like, 35-6, 34-7, something like that. I'm definitely taking Ohio State, and I am laying the 18.5. I know I've said on this before that I don't like laying a lot of points, especially on the road. But this is a game where it seems to me that Rutgers really has no shot of scoring enough points to where Ohio State can't cover this. If Ohio State can't cover it, you're saying Ohio State wins this game like 24-7. And I just don't think that's going to be the case, right? Moving on, Texas A&M, Ole Miss. This is a tough game right here, man. This is a tough game to do because you guys have heard me talk about Texas A&M on here before. Texas A&M has win the SEC talent, and they've lost, 3 games already this year, right? Win the SEC talent, but they've lost 3 games. That goes down to coaching, right? Sooner or later, you're going to say Texas A&M is going to finally put it together. They're going to finally play to the talent level, and they're going to finally put it on somebody that they should. But if you look at their schedule, who they've beaten this year, who they lost to this year. They lost to the 3 best teams they played, Miami, Alabama, Tennessee. They've beaten everybody that they should beat, right? So Ole Miss is another team that is in that category of a Miami, Bama, Tennessee, right? Ole Miss is a good team. Sooner or later, the Aggies are going to beat a good team. Is it going to be Ole Miss? Well, if you look at the matchup, I would say you got an Ole Miss quarterback in Jackson Dart who plays well, will hit big plays downfield. He should hit some plays against this Texas A&M secondary, who is good, but not great, but good. But he'll throw a crazy, goofy interception that could get the Aggies a short field, easy touchdown, right back in the game, something along those lines, right? Running game, man. For some reason, Texas A&M has a good front seven, so this doesn't make sense to me. Again, this goes down to the defense. Is it the DC? Because Texas A&M has good, very good players on their defense in the front seven. Man, people have been running all over him. South Carolina can't run the ball at all, and they ran it on them, right? Mario Anderson had a good game against them. Tennessee ran for over 200 against them. Um, Now they're going against Quinshawn and Ulysses Bentley, maybe the best running back duo in the country. In fact, probably is, right? I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of another one better. These guys are in a groove right now, too. These guys are cooking. So Ole Miss has 200-yard plus potential on the ground in this game because we still haven't seen A&M play to the capability. And at this point in the season, I don't think you're going to see it. I think what you need to see the Aggies do is a coaching change at the DC. I'm not saying Jimbo Fisher should be fired yet, even though he's on the hottest of seats. The DC move didn't work out. That didn't work out for them. So he's got to go. And that's not a change that's going to see until next year if that change is made. So you're not going to see it in this game. So Ole Miss should go 200 plus in this game on the ground. Jackson Dart is going to do his thing. But Ole Miss can't play defense. You guys know this. So Ole Miss, I mean, they D'd up Vanderbilt, but they stink. So who cares, right? Auburn can't pass the ball. They beat them 28-21. 28-14. Auburn scored a look-at touchdown into the game. But still, Arkansas, that was the week before them, 27-20. So they've played offensive, deficient teams in Arkansas, Auburn, and Vandy the last 3 weeks to kind of make their defense look better. They're about to be in a rude awakening because while Max Johnson has had his struggles this season, he's still capable of hitting a very talented group of receivers downfield. I think Noah Thomas and Evan Stewart and Moose Muhammad, I mean, we haven't seen much of him this year, but I think these are guys that can definitely make plays in this game. I think the Texas A&M running game with Le'Veon Moss back, I think they'll be good enough to kind of move the ball. So they're going to be good enough to keep A&M in this game. And quite honestly, this is a dangerous game to pick because you think one day the Aggies are going to put it together and actually play to their talent, right? Because the Aggies, talent for talent, I say they're better than Ole Miss. But because we haven't seen it yet, I'm actually going to take Ole Miss in this game. But I am taking Ole Miss straight up in this game. I'm not gonna lay the 3, and the reason being is because if Ole Miss wins the game, they probably do win by more than 3. But there's some serious danger, I think, of the Aggies finally playing to the talent. Jackson Dart is a capable quarterback of making mistakes, even though he will hit plays, of making mistakes to where you get an inexplicable loss at home, right? So that's why I'm taking Ole Miss, but I'm not going to lay the 3. Next game, Notre Dame at Clemson. This game, to me, was kind of a weird call, red call, right? So Notre Dame, actually, let's take a look. Notre Dame was favored by 3 going in. I thought that it stayed at 3. If I ever find this game, pretty sure this stayed at 3. My goodness, where in the world is this game at? There it is. Yep, stayed at 3. This one, why is it at 3? Because I thought Notre Dame would be favored by more. So here's Clemson's deal, right? Clemson, I told you guys last week when I called the NC State plus 10, right? I said Clemson, I didn't want to say they're circling the drain, but they are running on fumes. That's why I took NC State with a plus 10, and that's why NC State won straight outright. Clemson is a team offensively had beat Syracuse by 17, but Syracuse stinks and had a struggle offensively in that game for stretches. Wake Forest, they only scored 17 in a win. Wake Forest stinks, right? They lost to Miami to a true freshman quarterback who couldn't throw the ball downfield at all. And then they lose to the NC State with MJ Morris really only hit 1 slant pass, and that was all she wrote for the game. That's all he did. This Clemson offense is really struggling, and these are college kids. So in college football, when you're struggling like this, now I said last week they need to come home. They're coming home. They're home for this week, right? But they need to be at home and play against a Syracuse this week. They need to play against a Duke without Riley Leonard this week, you know? You need a get-right game, basically, is what I'm trying to say. They need a get-right game. Not hosting Notre Dame, you know, probably one of the 10 best teams in the country. This isn't a good situation for Clemson's offense. Notre Dame's defense has been ball hawking, taking the ball away like crazy. Cade Klubnik has regressed. I've said it before. I think he will be good, but I don't think he'll be good until 2024. He's regressed this season. He's probably going to have a couple turnovers in this game. And then you look at the Clemson offense. Now, things aren't official. I was trying to wait on the injury reports, but I make these videos on Friday, so nothing is out yet. So we know for this game, Antonio Williams, Clemson's top receiver, he's already out. Tyler Brown, super freshman, got hurt last week. He might be out in this game. They don't know. He got hurt last week and he didn't come back into the game. Will Shipley got knocked out with either a concussion or concussion symptoms, depending on where you read it. I'm not sure. It sounds like concussion to me. Now, as far as I've been watching football, when a player gets a concussion in 1 week, he needs at least 2 weeks before he comes back. So I'm not expecting Will Shipley to play this Saturday, but they still haven't ruled him out. So these are three key players that haven't been ruled out yet. Well, Antonio Williams has been, but that could really impact the offense for Clemson in this game against a really nasty Notre Dame defense. These guys are out. You got Phil Moffitt running back. Okay, he's good, right? He's probably about even with Shipley, right? He's good. But now your duo one's down to one, right? To a solo. You take out Tyler Brown and Antonio Williams, who you throwing to? Throwing to Tony Stellato? Come on. Jay Bergenstool is a good tight end, okay. But then you throw on it to 4 and 40, and you ask me who's 4 and 40, that's Bo Collins. Because Bo Collins is a guy who will catch 4 passes for 40 yards, and you won't even notice, right? So that's what you're throwing to. So you don't really got the weapons to help out your struggling quarterback, to help out your struggling offense. That's what it's looking like to me. On Notre Dame side, if Brock Bowers didn't exist, you guys will probably know more about Mitchell Evans, the tight end. Big-time tight end, was following in Michael Mayer's footsteps. Probably not going to be a first-round pick, but I don't think he'd go past the second round. Looking like a stud. There's his ACL last week. Huge, huge loss for the Irish. But that said, Notre Dame still has Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman's can weather the storm. Sam Hartman's played Clemson and cooked them before. Sam Hartman can turn average receivers, which is what he has in Notre Dame, into effective players, right? Top of that, Notre Dame has an effective running game led by Audric Estime. So Notre Dame is going to be able to move the ball enough against a very good Clemson defense, but a Clemson defense that I think is going to be on the field a lot. A Clemson defense that I think is going to be put in some inopportune situations because I could see Clemson's offense turning the ball over a couple times. So for me, the 3 doesn't make sense in this. I'm taking Notre Dame on the road, and I'm laying the 3. I think Clemson is really, really, they're starting to fizzle. So I'm taking Notre Dame laying the 3. That's our second ATS game of the week. Missouri at Georgia. This was at 16. I believe this moved to 15 because I did check on this earlier. And yes, this is 15. So this is a game. If you look at this game, Georgia is. You guys already figured out Georgia. Georgia's a team that they won't cover if they don't respect the opponent, right? They're not going to play the game from word go, from the kickoff. They're not going to really wake up to the second half. And then they're going to exert their dominance, and then they're going to dominate, and they're going to win the game, but they probably won't cover. If they respect you, Kentucky, ranked team, came to Athens, destroyed. They respect you, Florida, Jacksonville, cocktail party, beat them by 23, right? Covered. Here we go with Missouri. Missouri's ranked number 12. Coming into Athens, got weapons. Brady Cook at quarterback is playing really well. Luther Burden is a Biletnikoff candidate receiver. Good complementary receivers in Theo Weiss and Mookie Cooper. These guys can play. Missouri should be undefeated because they should have won an LSU game. But these guys with 1 loss, they're going to come in here. They're going to have Georgia's undivided attention. Missouri's a good team. Oh, let me make that change, by the way. Missouri's a good team. And if you look at history, Missouri, every time they've traveled to Athens, have been blown the hell out. Every game has been a destruction, right? Last year, the game in Columbia, Missouri actually played these guys 26-22. We led it to half. It was Georgia's toughest game of the year till the bowl game or till the playoff game against Ohio State. So they didn't take. I don't think they took Missouri seriously in that game. I think they're going to take Missouri seriously in this game. But because I think Missouri is a better team than what they've been, I'm not going to take Georgia and lay in the 15. I think Missouri is going to be one-dimensional because I think Cody Schrader at running back is a good college running back, a try-hard type. He's not next-level type. He's not built for a front seven that he's about to go against. The passing game is going to hit some plays. Luther Burden is too good to just be completely clamped up, okay? These guys are going to make some plays through the air where it could threaten that 15, right? But Georgia's offense is going to be too balanced to lose this game, but to cover the 15, just not confident in that. So I'm going to take Georgia straight up. Not going to do this against the spread. You guys are thinking, man, do some ATS games. I'll get to it. We got some more to get to. Penn State at Maryland. This is just record-wise, I have to put this on here, but I really don't like this game at all. First off, I've talked about Penn State and Drew Allar and their offense and everything ad nauseum. I told you guys Drew Allar, I don't see it. I've talked about this before. Drew Allar, blue-chip quarterback, 5-star, goes to Penn State. Kyle McCord, blue-chip quarterback, goes to Ohio State. Kyle McCord this year has shown flashes of being a really, really, really good quarterback, but he's not there yet. He's not a polished product yet, right? I think in 2024, Kyle McCord is going to be slinging it next year. I think he's going to be very good. Drew Allar, on the other hand, he hasn't shown me flashes at all. They beat Indiana last week, right? They beat Indiana 33-24 last week. So in the fourth quarter, these guys are up 24-14. Indiana scores a touchdown to make it 24-21. You're in a tight fourth-quarter game with Indiana, okay? Inside their own 15-yard line with 5 minutes left, Drew Allar on third down, right? He's scrambling, and he throws some trash up the middle for an easy pick for Indiana. I mean, you're putting yourself in position to lose to the Hoosiers now with a decision making like that. Now, Indiana does what like bad teams do. They're already in field goal position with that interception, and they're too scared to go for the win to turn it over, right? You know, in this world, if you want to pull the upset, you got to risk it for the biscuit, right? They just play for the field goal, tied it at 24. Drew Allar, to his credit, I'll give him props here. He hits a bomb to Lambert Smith for a touchdown, and, you know, that was basically ball game. But they were real in danger of losing to Indiana. This offense, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, I think he went like 15 for 50 in that game running the ball. I told you guys, I said he's like the NFL version of Ron Dane. You guys keep looking at, if you guys looking at high school stars, you got to stop that because he's not that. Maybe next year, we'll see. I think he's got to slim down. I think he's got to completely work on his game, just completely remodel him, right, to become what his high school hype says he was going to be. Same with Katron Allen, who's just a little better in my opinion. Penn State's got tons of issues offensively, tons of inconsistencies, tons of inefficiencies, right? And then but they're 10.5-point favorite on the road at Maryland. I'm like, man, hold up, really? But then if you look at Maryland, this is something people probably don't know because why would you watch this game? You know, I got to watch everything. Maryland lost last week to Northwestern. And yes, that Northwestern, make the argument worst team in the Big Ten Northwestern, right? Maybe it's Indiana, but still. They lost to Northwestern as an embarrassing loss. They couldn't really stop the Brendan Sullivan was the backup quarterback. Talia was kind of all over the place as far as downfield. He's throwing a lot of short stuff to really be able to move the ball. And the defense got hit on some huge chunk plays by Brendan Sullivan, right? So Maryland is that team. When you look at them, when you look at their players, you're like, man, these dudes are athletes right here. That's what I see when I look at, man, these guys got athletes right here. And then they do dumb stuff. They had against Northwestern, they had a couple touchdown drives were extended because of personal foul calls. Right? They do stuff like that. Talia Talia is a good quarterback, man, but I think because of his brother, people might overrate him a little. He's a good QB, but he's not a great QB. He's about to be under a ton of pressure in this game. This is the kind of game where he could definitely turn over the ball a couple of times with the pressure he's going to be under. And with Maryland, with the way Maryland plays, with the way Maryland makes mistakes, they might allow Alar and this offense to get more opportunities to score points. So for me, the 10.5 kind of makes sense. That's too dangerous, too high of a point spread for me in this game to lay it. But I wouldn't be surprised because it is Maryland, and Maryland is that kind of team that'll give you this game. They'll give you the cover, right? They'll do something. They'll throw a pick six in the fourth quarter to cement that cover, something like that. So this is a game that I'm going to stay away from. I'm not going to lay the 10.5, but I am going to take Penn State straight up. So we're still stuck on 2 ATS picks. I told you this is a hard week, but we're going to keep going. We got some other games to do. Oklahoma State, Bedlam. I looked this up earlier. This spread went from, by the way, I got to look at the Penn State spread. I never did, huh? Well, I wasn't going to lay the 10.5. Let's see if it changed. It actually changed to 9.5, so that's interesting. I still am not going to lay it because, Nah, I won't lay it. I won't lay this. I'll go with what I've already said. And I'm taking Penn State straight up. This Oklahoma game has gone from 6.5 to 6, which sounds about right to me. But sometimes you just got to go with your gut on games. So I told you guys last week, I said I didn't want to. Oklahoma is not the kind of team that will go 12-0. That's why when we had the Kansas game, I was like, I'm leaning towards taking Kansas with a 9, but I didn't want to take Kansas to win straight up because Lance Leopold has yet to win a big game like that. And I want to see him win it first before I start calling those kind of wins, right? So I just stayed away from it. I took OU straight up, and I didn't lay the points either. Kansas pulls off the big upset. Not so shocking to me, maybe shocking to others, though, who are more casual fans, right? Casual observers. If you're looking at this game, Oklahoma State is on fire right now. They're one of the hottest teams, maybe in the country, just based off of how they're playing and what they've got going on. Ollie Gordon, I've talked about him so much on here. You guys know what I think about Ollie Gordon. Yeah, he's probably the best running back in America. Total package type running back, first round pick caliber type running back. If you don't take him in the first round, you probably don't know what you're doing. Ollie Gordon against Cincinnati. These guys trash Cincinnati. Yeah, who cares? Cincinnati 45-13. They trashed him though. Ollie 271. I told you guys before against West Virginia 282. Right against Kansas. What did Ollie have against Kansas? 218. Right? Or I'm sorry, he had 168, and then he had 116 receiving, right? These guys have won 4 games in a row. They swept the state of Kansas. They beat West Virginia on the road, by the way, and they destroyed Cincinnati last week. This is the hottest team out there right now. But OU on the other side, 2 weeks ago, beats UCF at home off of a missed 2-point conversion, and they go on the road and play Kansas, and they lose. This is a team that that's what was showing cracks in the foundation. That's why I said this is not a team that go 12-0. This was the week that I thought they would lose. So I thought they would lose in Bedlam if they came into this week undefeated. They're not coming in undefeated, but where they are coming in is a team with the same issues that they had against Kansas. They have a bad defense, and they're playing against an Oklahoma State team with an outstanding running game, better than Kansas' running game. Have Alan Bowman, an experienced quarterback who I'm not high on, but he's experienced enough to where he can hit some passes in this game to keep that offense balanced. OU, on the other hand, is playing against a terrible defense in Oklahoma State. Everybody gets work against Oklahoma State. But now both their running backs are banged up. Tally Walker and Marcus Major are banged up. Don't know if they're going to play. I don't think both will sit out, but they both sit out. That's huge. And then Danny Stutzman, Oklahoma's best defensive player, maybe their only good defensive player, but their best defensive player. He went out last week, and they're calling him a game time decision. If you think that's huge news, definitely tune in before the game starts, before you do this game, because he's their best defender, and with him out, oh man, I mean, it's going to be rough on them. Also, biggest storyline of this game is this is the last Bedlam game. Remember, OU is going to the SEC next year. This game is discontinued. So the last Bedlam game in a series that OU has dominated, but it's in Oklahoma State, it's in Stillwater. You think that Mike Gundy is just gonna, go out, without some fireworks, man? With a team that's won 4 in a row, a team that is cruising right now? Nah, man. I'm not going to lay the 6 here. I'm not going to take the 6 here. I'm going to take Oklahoma State straight up. I'm taking Oklahoma State straight up to win this game. So this is an ATS pick. I think they're sending OU out to the SEC on a losing note in this series. Next up, Virginia Tech, Louisville. This is another game that dropped from 10.5 to 9.5. I saw. Let's go ahead and change that real quick. This should be a good game. This game has a lot of implications for who can make the ACC championship game. Believe it or not, Virginia Tech, who was horrible early in the season, much like Oklahoma State, they've really turned things around. They've won. They've played much better football. They've won, I want to say, what is it, 2 or 3 in a row now? Let me go take a quick peek at that. Virginia Tech's won 2 in a row, but 3 of the last 4. But the teams they beat were Pitt, Wake, Syracuse. Pitt, Wake, Syracuse. What do you think? The 3 worst teams in the ACC? Yeah, I think so too. So they beat them. They dominated those games. They did play Florida State in there. That's their one loss. And in Florida State game that they were down big early. Looked like they were going to get blown out. Then they came all the way back. It was 22-17. Looked like they had a chance to maybe pull off the upset. Florida State pulled away late with some big running plays. But all in all, Virginia Tech, I'm not going to take it away from them. They've definitely been playing better football. Louisville, though, is with Jawar Jordan. I mean, they got a stud running back in Jawar Jordan. He's a guy that in this game against Virginia Tech, he could carry this team on his back. He could go for 150, 175 in this game. He's cruising right now. Virginia Tech doesn't really have an answer for him on the offensive side of the ball. And then this Louisville defense, fast and flying around. They're going to cause Kyron Jones some problems because he's not that great of a passer yet. Virginia Tech is basically led by their running game and their defense. Their defense is capable of giving Jack Plummer issues because he's an inconsistent quarterback. But Jawar Jordan's still good enough to carry these guys to the win. I thought when this was 10.5 and I first looked at these odds early in the week, I was like, man, I might take the Hokies with the 10.5 because I think the defense is good enough to keep them in the game because I think Plummer can make some mistakes that'll keep Virginia Tech in the game. But I'm not going to take it at 9. I'm not going to take them with the 9.5, and I'm not going to do this game ATS either. I'm just going to go ahead and take Louisville straight up to win this game at home. Next up, Washington, USC. This game dropped to 3. And this is another game where I was like, man, 3.5 when I first saw it. Now looking at it 3. That's interesting. So you got, I'll be the first to admit, Washington is kind of a team that's kind of struggling as they go along. I think for sure the best team in the Pac-12 is Oregon. And I know Washington beat them head-to-head. That was more Oregon made 2 big coaching errors in that game, and it was on the road. I think if Oregon plays Washington in a Pac-12 title game with the way things are going right now, and I think Oregon might slap the piss out of them. Seriously, I think they might win that game by like 17. But Washington, still though, undefeated. Saw the CFP rankings come out and they say, "Oh, we're not in there." What? So it might, who knows? Maybe that gets them refocused, right? They coming off a win against Stanford. They won 42-33, but man, that game. It looked like that Huskies were gonna finally pull away in that game, and then they started making mistakes. Stanford started going downfield. I'm sorry, that game was 35-26, and then they started making mistakes, fumble in the red zone. Stanford goes downfield, scores 35-33. Washington goes back downfield. Penix throws a pick in the end zone with 5 minutes left. And then on 4th and 2, Stanford went for it, right? Down by 2, they did a trick play, and it worked. The only thing is the receiver dropped the ball, right? So that basically was all she wrote, and Stanford or Washington won that game 42-33. But they struggled, and they struggled the week before against Arizona State. They beat them 15-7, and the only reason they won that game is a pick six late when Arizona State was going in for a touchdown. Had like a 90-yard pick six or something like that. So Washington has not been playing great. Either they play great defensively but not offensively, or they play great offensively but not defensively, but they have not been playing great. That said, they're going against a USC team that a defense that is just bad, right? They're just bad. They're bad on defense. They gave up 49 points to Cal, and it probably should have been 51. USC won last week 50-49 because Cal missed a 2-point conversion. Look at the replay on that 2-point conversion. You tell me how in the hell that defensive holding is not called on that play, because that was the definition of it. So Cal, in my opinion, got robbed. Cal could have won that game 51-50. That was a robbery right there, in my opinion. So USC kind of escaped that one. They should have lost. USC should have 3 losses in a row, with Notre Dame that smashed them, Utah that USC made enough mistakes to lose that game at home, and then Cal, where the ref gave him I don't know what happened there. I'm not gonna say the ref cheated or anything for him, but the ref missed one on that one. So they could easily have lost 3 games in a row. So in my opinion, USC is struggling as much lately, if not more so, than Washington is. If I look at the Washington offense with Dylan Johnson running game, he should go crazy in this game after what Jaden Ott did. I think if you reestablish the running game with Dylan Johnson, it's going to open up things with Michael Penix, who's going to attack a USC secondary that has tons of injuries in. So I think Washington is going to score a lot of points in this game. Caleb hasn't looked like the Caleb of last year all season. Just something is missing. And against this Washington team that has potential to play good, not great, but good defense, I don't think USC is going to score nearly enough to keep pace. This is a game that, for me, I'm definitely going to do this against the spread. I'm definitely laying the 3. I think that Washington, with Michael Penix and Dylan Johnson, that offense can get kind of reestablished, right? So I see the Huskies winning this game in kind of a high-scoring game. Wouldn't be surprised, like a 42-31 kind of deal, something like that. Next up, LSU, Alabama. Sorry, we got 3 games left. We're at 40 minutes. Let's keep going. LSU, Alabama, right? So this is always a classic game in the SEC, right? Big-time game. This game historically has some wars. You're going to see, if you watch this game, you're going to see them talking about these wars that they've had throughout history in this series, right? Including they played each other for a national championship. They had one of the most boring number 1 versus number 2 regular season games of all time, 9-6. LSU won in OT. Talk about a snooze fest. And then they played it in the title game that year too, and it was just as boring. But Alabama dominated. Anyways, in this game, you got an LSU team that has a high power, probably best offense in the country. Have who I think should be in the front runner for the Heisman, chasing Jaden Daniels. 2 very, very dangerous receivers, and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. Got a balanced running. They're balanced with the running game with Logan Diggs. Great offense going against a great Alabama defense. I think good in the secondary, not great, good. but a front seven that's shutting down all running games, and they're definitely good enough to shut down Logan Diggs, who's he's a good player, but he's not dynamic. So they can definitely shut down the running game. So it's all about can Jaden Daniels make plays with his legs as he's done all year. He probably will a few times in this game, but I think you'll see the Alabama front seven assert themselves and really put a stop to that running game. So it's going to be about the passing. It's going to be about the passing. Can they pass enough to win this game for LSU? Alabama, on the other hand, Jalen Milroe has improved as the season has gone on, and now they're going against an LSU secondary that they've ruled out their top corner, Zy Alexander, who I don't think is that nice anyway, but he's their top corner. His backups, Deuce Chestnut, Denver Harris, they're already out. So LSU is going to go into this game with freshmen at corner. LSU's defense has been busted up all year, and it's about to get it's gotten worse. Mekhi Wingo in the front seven, he's out now too. LSU has tons of big issues on the defense side of the ball, both in ability and in injury. And I think you're going to see this is an opportunity for Alabama to really actually put some points on the board. I think Alabama's going to score more than you think typically happens in this rivalry. You think low-scoring game? I think Alabama is going to score more. By the way, this has gone from 4-3, so money pouring in on LSU too, making it even easier for you. Because if it wasn't obvious, I'm taking Alabama in this game, and I'm actually going to take them. Forget the 4, make it even easier. I don't think you're in danger of a push in this situation. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 3 and take the Tide at home at night in Tuscaloosa. Miami at NC State. Miami was 4-point favorite. This has gone up to 5.5. Wow, a lot of money pouring in Miami. I'll be honest, I was going to do this game till I saw this go up to 5.5. Makes me think twice. So in this game, you got NC State at home, just coming off the big win against Clemson. I told you guys before, you guys know about college athletes, right? Letdown game. Just got the big win against Clemson. Their mindset might still be there. And for some of them, I guarantee you their mindset will still be there. NC State's offense with MJ Morris didn't do anything. And now they're about to play against a defense that's not as good as Clemson's, but pretty damn good. That Miami defense is pretty solid. I don't think MJ Morris is about to have a really good game in this one. He's gonna struggle to move the ball. NC State has struggled to run the ball all year. They can't run the ball. So this is going to be, you know what? I might be talking myself back into it, but this is going to be a tough. It's going to be tough for NC State to move the ball in this game. You look at the Miami side and you say, well, Tyler Van Dyke's going to play. He's been playing hurt, right? Against this defense, which is a good defense, again, not great, but NC State has played good defense this year. Tyler Van Dyke might have some issues moving the ball. They have a running game that is only so-so at best. We don't know if Don Chaney is going to play either, who's probably their best running back. They did finally give the ball to A.J. Allen. He was a guy who transferred in from Nebraska, and I thought was a good pickup. They started giving the ball last week. He had a crazy good touchdown run last week. I think you see him get the ball more this week. You might see some things because he's got talent. He's a good player. So all in all, I think you're going to see an NC State team that's going to really struggle to move the ball, going to really struggle to put points on the board against a Miami team that if Tyler Van Dyke was healthy, I would feel more confident that they would be able to put points on the board. Maybe that's why we had that 4 move to 5.5, because maybe there's some news out there that I haven't seen that Tyler Van Dyke is healthy enough to be back to his old self and really move the ball in this game. I'm going to take the Canes because I think that the letdown factor is going to be involved. I think NC State offense is not that great, but I'm not going to lay the 5.5 because if I ain't seen it, I can't speak on it. But as far as I know, Tyler Van Dyke's not 100%, so they might have some issues offensively themselves. So taking Miami straight up. And finally, the last game, UCLA, Arizona. UCLA was favored by 1.5. They are now favored by 2.5. So people still don't believe in Arizona. Osmaker, haven't believed them in all year. I've been a big believer in them. Whoops. And I continue to be a believer in them. I think this is going to be a defensive battle, believe it or not, for a Pac-12 game. UCLA has a great defense. Arizona did work against Oregon State last week. Oregon State's defense isn't close to what UCLA's defense is. Bruins got a great defense. They're good. That Bruin defense is good enough to cause no Fafita problems. They're good enough to slow down that running game with Jonah Coleman and Wiley and them. Where they might struggle some is in the receiving game. T-Mac can make plays against the UCLA DBs. On the other side, though, Ethan Garbers, man, he can be sharp 1 minute and then he'll throw a pick, right? Arizona's got a good secondary. They've played great pass defense against everybody they've played against this year. I expect that to continue. I expect Noah Fafita to continue playing well enough to win games. This is a game that I was going to say stay away from it. So keep that in mind. This isn't one that I'm completely confident in, like I was with Oregon State last week. But I'm taking Arizona, and I'm going to put it down as an ATS pick. But just keep in mind, and I'm not so confident if you follow my picks. But I think Arizona at home, late at night, you're going to have a defensive battle. And once again, I think something's going to happen late, that Noah Fafita is going to make a play late to be able to get this win for the Wildcats. So, recap, ATS picks. Ohio State laying the 18.5. Notre Dame laying the 3. Oklahoma State straight up. Washington laying the 3. Alabama laying the 3. And Arizona money line. So 6 games for you. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can keep this hot streak going. Hopefully you liked the content. And if you did, please like, follow, subscribe. And you're going to see my YouTube handle here in a few seconds. Take care.